The last episode of the season, Leviathan Wakes, also the title of the first book, jumps straight into things with the warning continuing about radiation, which will ironically be dealt with by sending people into shelters and then irradiating them. Pro tip: radiation sickness cannot, in fact, lap itself. With this particular area now clear, Semi asks Naomi, Alex, and Amos what Miller is doing, which is a stretch because I don't think even Miller knows what he's doing. They just want to get back to the Rocinante. Lockdown or no, this place isn't holding a gunship that does not want to be held. But they still have to get there. Naomi says the mech shafts can get them there best. The OPA uses them for smuggling on every station because no one wants to go in there. Even the mechs going in there go, man, this is bullshit. Meanwhile, Holden and Miller break into a medical supply and take some medication to at least counteract the symptoms that they'll likely be feeling after that little gamma-ray tanning bed they just had. The Rocinante has a state-of-the-art medical facility. I'm sure Amos would have liked to have used that when they were fixing his leg. So they can possibly still survive this, but that assumes they get there before Naomi leaves like Holden had told her to.
You told your crew to take off without you? Dick.
You know, I think he's just voicing what a lot of other people who ran into Holden during this were thinking. Meanwhile, Dunkirk is still collecting samples from Julie Mao. Wow. After infecting all those belters, I didn't think there'd be anything left of her to harvest. He gives this little spiel about how children disappoint you, but not in Julie's case. Oh no. She went off, rebelled against her father, and got herself infected with a proto-molecule so they can in turn infect and irradiate an entire population. Daddy's little girl. After the titles, Miller is already coughing up blood while Holden looks for how to get to their destination. Only it's going to require a little of the ultra-violence.
I've never shot anyone. Half the system thinks you're some kind of outlaw hero, but you're really kind of clueless, aren't you?
Yeah, he's really got your number, Holden. You're like someone mixed a political thriller with Baby's Day Out. They take cover in a pachinko parlor, but when the gang starts setting up equipment out front, Miller's ready to go out guns blazing, even if he'll end up going out guns blazing. As he says when Holden objects, Earthers don't see what Belters see, that the game is rigged from the start. You're never going to win. So that's why, a lot of times, they just cheat. He and Semi used to pull chips out of machines to get money to feed themselves growing up. But then they became cops because it's better to be a boot than an ass. But he hallucinates Julie Mao a moment, the one who made him, for a little while at least, become someone better. I mean, man's still got to do what a man's got to do, though. Well, Holden copes with helping kill someone for the first time. On purpose, I mean. Ava Cirilla learns from Aaron Wright that the drives were built on Earth, yes, but they made it to Tycho Station afterwards. Fred Johnson's lying. Her reaction is odd, maybe because she can sense that this is bullshit. But for the moment, she's playing along, talking about cracking down on Ceres, the usual stuff. Well, Jules Pierre Mao shows up in the flesh finally, played by the great character actor Francois Chow, from Lost, The Tick, and Wing Commander. At least those are the ones that always spring to my mind. Kind of reflects my tastes, I suppose. Back on Eros, Naomi has found the guide set up in the mech tunnels to guide them through. It was how the original workers were able to avoid getting lost. As for Holden and Miller, Holden notes that the stuff they set up was indeed scientific monitoring equipment, while Miller notes the emergency message has stopped transmitting. The ruse must be over, because the transport pods are back up again. I think we'll take the next one. While the rest of the group is not doing so great, the tunnel leads to a dead end, and while Naomi mulls that problem over, one of the infected drips on the guy that's tagging along. Him and a child are hitching a lift because, well, you can't just let them die because you don't want strangers around. The little girl runs off in terror, so Naomi chases her down. Meanwhile, Miller and Holden are going to need to get through the CPM gangs, and that'll require acquiring a uniform. Done and done. Naomi finds the girl, but her mom and a group of Eros survivors arrive, convinced that the hospital is the only safe place to be, not in fleeing the station. Seems as some of them have slipped through the cracks.
Whoa, hey. Whoa, it's me.
That's certainly where the cockroaches usually like to hide. He tries to fast-talk his way into getting back onto the Rocinante, but Holden is extremely jaded right now. And while he doesn't actually kill him, he fires enough rounds to drive him off. As for down in the tunnel, when they reach the dead end again, Alex and Amos start kicking it like it owes their boss money. Speaking of which, by the time they arrive, the guy who got dripped on is no longer with them, and they think Semi made sure that he didn't follow. Still, they picked up 2 more, but these look like they're extras. I wouldn't trust their chances. Back on Earth, Avasarilla, spending more time on the roof, this time with her husband, asks him to take the kids and go to the moon for a while, where it will be safe, because she thinks Ehrenreich had the former Martian ambassador killed, because he would have known that the drives weren't stolen. This sets up her Season 2 story, which, as mentioned, is when it actually starts in the second novel. Back on Eros, the See You Next Tuesday cops are suddenly finding themselves in that Lando altering the deal situation. They're not allowed to the docks that they were supposed to go to, but docks on the other side of the station. The problem is their argument is between Holden and Miller and the exit, so this is going to get complicated, especially because Semi has questions.
How the hell did you guys get your hands on a Martian gunship?
Legitimate salvage.
Yeah, I don't think salvage works that way, but then again, it's a long story and he's talking to a cop. Matter of fact, they're so short on time, Semi doesn't want to wait for Holden, nor does Amos. But Naomi is firm, even when Semi makes the mistake of pulling a gun.
Shoot.
See, there's a certain protocol with pulling a gun around Amos. Pointed at him? Okay. Pointed at Naomi? Not okay. Actually, I think Amos has a grasp on those who are and aren't willing to pull the trigger. Holden, even though he meant what he was saying, wasn't going to shoot Amos in the back of the head. That is, Holden wasn't trying to bluff. Amos just knew that it was a hollow threat, and therefore nothing to get worked up about. But Semi, this is a man who killed to save his own ass. Ergo, he is prepared to kill Naomi. Ergo, he needed to be stopped. Ergo, there you go. Meanwhile, Miller has spent his whole life around Belter radicals, and so knows one thing.
These Earthers ain't gonna let us out, man. No. They ain't never gonna let us out. We just make for the machine.
When they feel a boot on their neck, it only takes the slightest push to get them to shove a knife through it. Turns out the guy at the lead of this little mob is the one that nailed Havelock. So when things go violent and the pair manage to cross the room to get to the exit, Miller lures the guy over with a chance to escape, in order to make it easier to shoot him dead. Well, the radiation is really starting to do a number on these two. Even taking a booster just a little while ago is fighting an uphill battle. You know, they have been hit by a flamethrower that can burn straight through the body. Luckily, though, they make it to the docks.
Well, we made it.
I was never worried.
I have a feeling that that is a completely truthful statement. I think they've been left behind, but the airlock opens and Miller comments on how beautiful Julie Mao is as he sees her in the airlock, waiting for him. The actual person...
You guys look like shit.
Well, not an angel, but you've got to settle sometimes. They're in such bad shape the machine keeps trying to switch over to hospice. Even it's like, this is too much work. Let him die and bring in Aaron Eckert. Now that they're here, there are concerns. Miller's concerned because Amos shot his friend. Alex is concerned because they might have come back infected. And they're still locked onto the docks. That should concern everybody. But Alex finally just says essentially, well, not the first time I smashed my way out with this ship. Once they have, Alex spots Dunkirk's ship. But Dunkirk is far too busy looking at the information coming in from Eros, and he's not the only one concerned about what's going on there. But the other one concerned is because he's actually there right now. Neelix, did you give the station fleas? Well, this guy gets... meat for the machine. Miller had no idea how true those words were.